interested in motor mechanics. Hopeful, but you know, I had that sense that it wasn't going to go anywhere. I don't like having that sense, but I've been there before. One day I happened to be at Kroger in Graceland, and I was just checking out. The next thing I hear this, Anna! And it was Sean, and he leaned over and said, it's you. Comes up and gives me a big hug. It's so great to see you, as if I was his lost buddy. I was his lost buddy, wasn't I? It was wonderful that he felt it could come up and he could know that there was some other person who was interested in him. And finally, well, Randy, the budding carpenter, the budding builder, who was full of pretty big talk, really. He never did get the cupboard finished that he promised me, but he did pay me back the money I gave to him to get the materials. All of these young men have tremendous potential, and somehow we've lost them and they've fallen through the cracks. They're not all from poor homes, by the way. They're not poverty-stricken. There's more than just poverty that makes people lost. I'm going to be continuing with the program. There's apparently been some sort of transition, and hopefully we're going to get use from my immediate neighborhood, and we'll be continuing that. Did I anticipate going this direction? No. I thought I was done with teenagers when I entered university career, aspect of my educational career, but I'm really, really deeply glad to be back with that. These young people are our future, and these young lost people are our future, not just the ones at college. That's all I want to say.
Thanks, Anna. One of the thoughts that occurred to me while she was sharing, I'm sure, how many other community-based practitioners working with young people we have in the room, other community programs? You know, the things that she shared are clearly dynamics that are across the board part of successful programs. I mean, and I know that the research supports this, that when young people feel like someone's listening to them, invested in them, by design, programs need to include those types of things. And Anna's commitment, again, it surprised her. I think it surprised a lot of people that she would be able to make that commitment. Well, hers is just one story. I'm sure that we've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 adults now that have committed to connecting with young folks as they get assigned to us in this program. And the transition that she referred to is that Catherine's organization, University Area Enrichment Association, is actually expanding and moving its funding for this particular program to take it to another level and to be able to expand it. I mean, it's been largely volunteer run, and in fact, all volunteer run. I don't think anybody's ever gotten paid to do any sort of administration connected to this particular program or coordination of this particular program. And so we are trying to establish it now as a program that can be supported with some funding and some donations and fundraising activities that we haven't been able to do. But clearly, you know, the components are there. The idea that the folks in the community are the ones who are embracing the young people, engaging them relationally. And it's a solution that, again, came from the community. I mean, no one came in and said, hey, can we do this in your neighborhood? Folks from this neighborhood are the ones who developed this idea, cultivated it, and then presented it to the juvenile court system here in Columbus, and they embraced it. Jennifer Gangluff, who would have been here also, she was going to talk about their side of this and how it's been beneficial to them. And I mean, I really do apologize again that, you know, neither of them are able to be here to give you a little bit more substance. But we can try to answer some questions if you have, or share a little bit more, some insights. But I guess we'll just open up the floor now, and we'll try to make the best of this time that we have.
Can I just add one thing? That I was listening to Dr. Rosenbaum. earlier, chuckling to myself really that one of the things that I now resist strongly is getting into an organizational structure. And the reason why I resist it is because I've spent my 40 years in education being in organizational structures. And as an academic, they've gotten to the levels of proportions of I want to avoid it whenever I can. Academics love meetings. I hate meetings. And what's interesting is that recently I was contacted by a church group gentleman who wanted to know, well, he wanted to learn more about the trash picking and could he get involved with my group. And I said, whoa. There's no pyramid here. You just go out, you get a couple of trash pickers at Lowe's, and you go and get some bags and you go out there and do it. That's all I did. There's no organization. I'll teach you if you want to know how to actually sort of pick up the trash. You can come with me on Sunday morning next week. And come by and we'll do it together, and then you go and do your own group. I am not in charge of anything. And it's interesting, it surprised me of how intensely I felt about that. I don't want to be in charge. I don't even want to be a convener, which I am sort of at the moment with my own quote-unquote little group. Michael is part of that. But the bigger, I think I have learned from my years of experience in professional life that, a thing grows, an organization grows exponentially. The next minute you've got to keep down minutes. Then once you have minutes, you've got to have copies and emails. And, I deal with hundreds of emails a day. I love my trash picking because it's without email.
Michael, I'm going to put you on the spot. You can share some of your reflections of your participant in this program.
Sure, and I also live in Wyndham Park, and I live right around the corner from Anna, and I'm trying to remember when we first met, but it was through my neighbors who also go out and do the trash picking. So the story that I'll share is I was out on a Sunday morning just a matter of weeks ago, and a woman was waiting to go to church, and she was all dressed up. And she engaged in a conversation with me because I wasn't wearing a city uniform. I clearly didn't work for the refuse department. And she's like, what are you doing? And I said, well, I stay right around the corner on 9th, and I just want to live in a clean neighborhood. And she's like, I used to clean up here in my courtyard. It's like a series of row houses that face each other. And this is Section 8, Community Properties of Ohio Housing. And she said, I used to pick up, but I was the only one doing it, and I just got overwhelmed. And I just gave up and, kind of joined your group. And to Anna's response, I was like, yeah. And she's like, so how do I do it? I'm like, just show up at 8:30 on Sunday morning, and we just pick some streets and we go. And so what I love about what Anna's done is it's this contagious, you're a member by action, right? It's no more formal than that. You show up and you just do it, and you've met neighbors, and we pick our streets and we go. And so what was really important about that story is when I asked the woman, I said, so how long have you been staying here? Brand new, renovated, 100-year-old building. So how do you like staying in this brand new unit? And her response was, well, I like it when it rains and I like it when it's cold. But that's when she felt safe. But when it's sunny and nice, the neighborhood changes. So she's concerned about neighborhood safety, but she's not going to take on the drug dealers. But her way to make the neighborhood safer is to make it cleaner and make it feel better and make it look better. And so now she's a member through her action, right? And it's great because when people see neighbors doing that, and the other thing was, I just met a guy in the alley, and he came up and he's like, what are you doing? And so I just invited him to the neighborhood association meeting, and at the last month meeting, he just showed up, right? And so people are showing up because they're developing voluntary social relationships within the neighborhood, and that is a beautiful thing. And whether I'm at the community garden or I'm picking up trash on Sunday morning, it's really cool. So that's what I'll share.
Thank you, Michael.
I was wondering if you could take us back to the genesis. You talked about the importance of how it bubbled up and recognizing that, and I was wondering what evidence, how did the bubbling up happen?
Well, as I said, there were two things that kind of came together. There was concern about graffiti and the need to address that one of the residents of the community had. And then there was a